Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope this finds you well. This week's Parsha is Parshat Mishpatim. Mishpatim meaning ordinances or laws. And it's called ordinances or laws because we get a lot of ordinances and laws. So in this entire preceding Torah, before all of this, and before all these Parshiot, we only have about 40 mitzvot that we've been given. But in this Parsha alone, we get 53. It's a lot in this one. But it begs the question, why and why now? If you remember last week, we had the revelation at Sinai, the big moment where we're given the 10 commandments, Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 utterances. And then this week, it's kind of like interrupted with this weird long list of ordinances and laws that are given. Even the way that it's written, it's kind of like people say that it's a new part of the Torah, which is interesting. We get a lot of different rules, but the first one that we get is you shall not oppress the stranger, for you were once a stranger in a strange land. I'm going to read something that Rabbi Jonathan Sachs wrote about this part in this parsha. So this idea that you shall not oppress someone because you were once oppressed. That is how we must lead if we want people to come with us. There must be a vision to inspire us, telling us why we should do what we are asked to do. There must be a narrative. This is what happened. This is who we are. And this is why the vision is so important to us. There must be the law, the code, the fastidious attention to detail that allow us to translate vision into reality and turn the pain of the past into the blessings of the future. When designing, bring the vision to the details and align the details to the vision. Amazing, amazing. To break that down a little bit, this is from his book about leadership in regard to this particular parsha, that you shall not oppress because you were once oppressed. This is what happened and this is how you were going to act. It's not just don't oppress strangers. Okay, fine, don't oppress strangers. But to say don't oppress strangers because you were once a stranger, it's extremely powerful. It's also very personal and something that it still affects us to this day. We have so many parts in our service, in our readings that say you were once a stranger in a strange land. God brought you out of being a slave, being a stranger in a strange land. We have this imagery a lot, and it's really powerful. There's some really interesting commentary about slavery because there's a lot of laws about slavery in this parsha as well. And people are like, this is so uncomfortable to talk about. Like it's also like Jewish slaves versus non-Jewish slaves. It's so uncomfortable. Why wouldn't God have just outlawed slavery at all? Why? Now, Rabbi Sachs says that if God would have outlawed slavery, then there would be no laws to govern it. Isn't that interesting? No laws to govern it. Because there were laws given to the Jews, because there were some sort of structure, some sort of anything, there was structure in the world. But if God were to have outlawed slavery, it would have happened anyway, but there wouldn't have been anything to govern it. That was really powerful to me, because that's something that I've heard a lot when people are like, how can you take the Torah for real when you have laws about slavery, people being sold as slaves, as humans? I thought that was just a really, really beautiful thing. So then just to go back to this idea of you shall not oppress because you were once oppressed, there's this line that for every single orphan and widow, you shall not oppress them because their oppression, they will surely call out to me and I will punish you. Okay, so interesting. First of all, every single widow and every single orphan, the Baal HaTurim, a commentator, points out that it's this word kol, meaning all. Every single widow and orphan. And he says it's because, he points out specifically every widow and every orphan, because maybe there's an orphan or a widow that's left with a large inheritance. But every widow and every orphan you shall not do ill to them. Because no matter what material goods you have, personal relationships, love, loneliness, hurt, those things cannot be taken away by material goods, which is a really powerful thing. But the next part, that if you oppress them, I will hear their cries, and surely I will punish you. Okay, so what we learn from this is that the cries of those oppressed are cries that are heard by God. We have this idea that the tears in your prayer open up the gates of heaven. That's in Tehillim in Psalms. That prayer from the heart, prayer that is from anguish, from sorrow, from pain, that is heard by God. I found that really powerful. Also, that specifically there are no other things, like there are other things like in the parsha that it's, we're told not to do, but not with such powerful language that if you do this, you will surely be punished. So it's just something to think about, that those who are vulnerable, who are in positions where they don't have so much power, that we should be kind to them, is such a specifically Jewish trait. And I find that so interesting. And then just to bring this all back around, why are we having this randomly showing up between the revelation at Har Sinai, at Mount Sinai, and then only to go back to the rest of the narrative at the end? And the commentators, our rabbis, say But this is stuck in between to show us how important interpersonal relations are. Because if we can't be kind to the humans around us, the creations that are godly and holy just like us around us, how can we even work on our relationship with God as well? So a lot of stuff to think about this week. Thanks so much. Shabbat Shalom.